At the heart of the Dallas Arboretum lies a woman's garden. The garden's inspired design, a composite of elegance and rustic strength, of water and landscape, of formal and naturalistic elements, and of refuge and renewal, is dedicated to the universal spirit of women across all generations. Morgan Wheelock, a garden designer, wrote, "A woman's garden depicts the subtle complexity of the virtues and strengths of women. The success of the garden rests in the willingness of the visitor to permit herself, or himself, the freedom to receive its mystery and to travel beyond the shapes and symbols. It is the permission to enter a place of magic and fantasy. The visitor should leave calm and satisfied, and yet willing and desiring to return."
Welcome to A Women's Garden. I am Kay Weeks, and I am privileged to serve this year as president of the Women's Council of the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Garden. The council was founded in 1982 with the purpose of supporting the interests of the Dallas Arboretum. In 1995, a Women's Council agreed to endow a women's garden, the first fully endowed garden at the Arboretum. It is a true treasure and embodies the spirit, tenacity, and dedicated commitment of our members of the Women's Council. The Council is responsible for funding the annual maintenance costs of the garden, plus any capital improvements it might need. That responsibility leads us to hold annual fundraising activities, which are not only fun for our members and friends, but are critical in our funding efforts. During the past 13 years, A Writer's Garden has presented outstanding authors and speakers whose rich histories about gardens, architecture, and art, and illuminating stories of extraordinary individuals have engaged our minds, delighted our senses, and touched our hearts. We have an exciting program planned for this year, and I will let our chairperson, Suzanne Millett, tell you about the symposium in a few minutes. But first, it's my honor and pleasure to introduce Diane Seeley, our honorary chairman this year. Diane, can you tell us a little bit about your involvement with the Writer's Garden?
Yes, and good morning, Kay.
Thank you.
I started at the very beginning 13 years ago with the Writer's Garden, and I have enjoyed every single year that I've been a member. It is so worthy and worthwhile. It raises so much money for the gardens to be kept so beautiful. I love the entrance as we walk in. It's bold and enormous, and it sets the tone for the whole garden. As they say, the yang. It's the structure. It's going to set the structure, and you come in and see the water, and it just sets the soul on fire then. It rests everything in you. So this whole garden means so much to me, so belonging to the Dallas Women's Council has just been an integral part of my life.
Thank you. Now I'd like to welcome Suzanne Millett, and she's going to tell us about this year's Writer's Garden.
Thank you so much, Kay. We are so excited about this year's Writer's Garden to be held on November the 17th. We are so fortunate to have the Dallas Arboretum and Botanical Gardens as a part of our lives. Over 1 million people every year come to visit. It is a beautiful place, and we're so happy to be in a woman's garden this morning. This year we have 2 keynote speakers that you are going to fall in love with. Our first guest speaker is James Farmer. James is a Southern author, interior designer, and speaker. I'll call him a Renaissance man. He is the author of 8 books, one of which Kay is holding this morning. It's Dinner on the Ground, and he has done so many: porch living, A Time to Plant, Wreaths for All Season, A Time to Cook, A Time to Celebrate, and A Place to Call Home. His most recent publication, and the book we're featuring this year, is Arriving Home, which includes design projects from the farmlands of Georgia to the rolling countryside of Connecticut. In addition, James' work has been published in various magazines, including Southern Living, House Beautiful, Traditional Home, Southern Home, Flower, and more. As a frequent speaker and guest on television, James' natural grace and warm personality light up any room. Whether designing homes or sharing his gardening expertise, James Farmer is truly a fresh voice for his generation. Born and raised in Georgia, James proudly has built his business in his hometown of Perry. James loves Dallas, and we love James. I am so excited to introduce you to our second author, Lisa Fine. She was born in Mississippi and she attended Hockaday. She's a Dallas girl. She is an extraordinary textile designer. We're so pleased to have her with us here this morning.
Well, I'm thrilled to be here. I'm very much looking forward to speaking to you in November. As a textile designer, I often refer to flowers. I'm inspired by everything about gardens and flowers, whether they're beautiful gardens like we're surrounded by here, painted on porcelain, or 18th century chinoiserie. However, my book is not only interiors that inspire me for my textiles, it's interiors that inspire me because the people who live in the houses that I'm going to be showing you. They're people that are passionate about their interests, hobbies. Most of them are world travelers. Many are gardeners, lots of readers, and most important, their houses are a reflection of themselves as opposed to a design scheme. They're interiors that evolve over time and are classic in that they're so individual to the person that lives there. A few of the people you'll be seeing inside their homes are the famous passionate gardener Charlotte Moss, her house in East Hampton and her townhouse in New York, the late Lee Radziwill, who lived all over the world and worked with the very storied Italian designer Renzo Mongiardino, and we will be seeing houses and discussing gardens in New Delhi, in Sweden, 18th century manor houses, London, Paris, and Dallas. I so look forward to it. Thank you for inviting me.
Don't forget, please join us on November 17th for our 14th annual Writer's Garden.